Yeah, but you have to watch out because people are gonna like try to exploit you. That's the main thing, is like people recognizing what you are, who have political agendas, will infiltrate your shit and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world, right? That's a fear.
Like radium, like face rot and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like they'll get in there, and then like all of a sudden, like you accidentally start exhaling shit that's like that you don't agree. I know you don't agree with like Ben Shapiro.
Listen, it's not that I don't agree with Ben Shapiro, and I definitely don't on many things, and he and I talked about it. It's that I don't want to ban.
And this is the killer section in the whole video. Because years ago, Duncan literally warned Joe that people with political agendas would infiltrate his platform and start blowing their radioactive bullshit into the world through him. That was the warning. That was the prophecy. And now look at them. Older, richer, softer, safer, sitting right in the middle of the exact thing Duncan said would happen. Joe didn't dodge the trap. Joe became the trap. That's why this episode is so embarrassing. Duncan is staring at the wreckage of his own warning and still can't quite bring himself to say the obvious thing out loud. That the machine didn't just creep toward Joe. Joe opened the door, rolled out the red carpet, and then pretended he was still some barefoot outsider, while the same elite stink started settling all over the furniture.
People have decided you're one of the magnifying glasses focusing this beam of attention into the world. And so within that is all this room for disaster. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
room for disaster.
Alright, so after getting humiliated by Theovon, Joerogan did what every rich, cornered podcast king does when the audience starts smelling panic. He called in Duncan Trussell, lit a little incense, put on the soft voice, and tried to turn full-blown damage control into a spiritual conversation. And the comments already had this thing dead to rights before it even got going. Emergency Duncan episode to try and bury the Theo episode. Joerogan Experience brought you by Palantir. Time to defend Peter Thiel and pretend tech billionaires are our friends now, for 3 hours. This feels like a cleanup operation for a guy who got caught treating Theo like a lunatic for saying things Joe is now perfectly happy to nod along to, as long as the guest is safe enough, soft enough, and house-trained enough not to pin him down with it.
That does make me nervous. Like, what happens when the majority of people no longer believe anything the regime is saying? That creates some interesting dysphoria. You know what I mean? It's creepy when anyone who's been conned before, there's a part of the con where you don't know you're being conned.
Right.
But where the con gets really creepy is you start realizing you're getting conned.
Do you ever watch that Going Clear, the HBO thing?
Dude, loved it.
Amazing, right?
And right here, Duncan basically admits he got conned by the same pseudo-nationalist garbage Joe spent years helping launder to millions of people. That's what makes this so shameless already. When Theo says the whole system is rotten, Joe suddenly becomes Dr. Phil with elk meat. But when Duncan says, "Yeah, I got blackpilled, I fell for it too," Joe sits there nodding like some wounded philosopher king. No, dude, you don't get to act like some innocent bystander now. You weren't just in the crowd, you were on the loudspeaker.
Before the Trump thing happened, I was pretty black-pilled on politics in general. I felt pretty black-pilled. I did believe it here and there. I was every once in a while, yeah. But, I was pretty, I remember taking LSD for the first time and being like, well, this shouldn't be illegal. What the fuck is this? How come I can go to jail for 5 years for this? This is fucking ridiculous. And so that was the beginning of me being completely black-pilled with whatever the federal government was up to. It's just, if I can go to jail for 5 years for this, everything is bullshit.
Everything.
Now that's a weak point of view. Just because one thing's bullshit doesn't mean everything's bullshit. But then, like, this fucking ridiculous, like, pseudo-nationalist movement happens, and a lot of people got caught by it. The other option was fucked up, Kamala, you know what I mean? But there was this, like, moment where you're like, holy shit, the outsiders are getting in. They're going to stop the wars. I think right now, all of us are getting for the briefcase Scientology moment right now, which is like, it doesn't matter what fucking mask the person calling themselves the president is wearing. It's always going to be the same thing. They're going to analyze the market. They're going to say what they need to say to grab the most voters. And then they're going to fucking keep blowing up people in the Middle East. because of oil. And I just I just feel dumb. Because I really believed it, dude. I fucking believed that we would not do any more Middle Eastern wars. I fell for it. I really bought it, man. And it makes me feel so dumb. Like I am now fully black-pilled when it comes to American politics.
Now this is where Joe suddenly wants to do late-night Epstein talk, which is hilarious because on the Theo episode he acted like elite corruption and world rot was just some antidepressant side effect. But with Duncan, now it's, do you think this war was started because of the Epstein files? Oh, now we're doing that? Now we're talking about how the same protected class of freaks, fixers, blackmailers, and donor-class goblins might have their fingerprints all over war? Interesting timing, Joseph. Because that's the real tell with Joe. The issue is never that the subject is too dark. The issue is that Theo was making him squirm. Duncan says Epstein, and suddenly Joe wants to be midnight archivist of the sulfur-scented ruling class. Theo says the world is run by creeps, and Joe tells him to get off his meds. Same rot, different guest, totally different courage level.
Do you really think that this war is entirely started because of the Epstein files?
I mean...
What percentage? 50?
I'm going 48 to 50. I probably more, but I think it's like... The reason I'm hesitating is because what are the Epstein... The Epstein files are what's been going on. Like the Epstein files are like it's basically some kind of cultural UAP video. It's like this thing you've always wondered about or been afraid could be true.
Right.
You see, no, this is actually true. They're these super rich dudes who are doing depraved fucking shit happily. And like, God, what is it Metzger told me? And he, dude, I'm telling you, man, what I love about him is he'll tell you shit and you're like, Google that. That can't be real. And then it's like, bleh, it's real. Yeah. And so his take, sorry, Metzger, if I fuck this up, is that Epstein was kind of like the hand of the king for the Rothschilds. And that, so that's why he had all this power, is he was like representing like the man, and so what got revealed there might just be a glimpse at how things actually fucking work.
You know what he told me? That I was like, shut up.
What?
He told me that there was some sort of high atmosphere aerosol test that they did, and they called it Satan.
See, that's where you're like, come on.
I know. Find out what Satan stands for?
To you, this makes sense to say anything like that. It makes sense to signal to like Russia, hey, because like, when Putin read that shit, he's like, oh, we're doing nukes? Oh, I guess we're doing fucking nukes. This is great. They're doing nukes. Well,
China already warned Israel, right?
Well, that's what I heard. I heard China had some part in this, that China was going to blow up Israel if
they used nukes.
And here Joe suddenly finds his big boy voice when the topic turns into pressure, nukes, Israel, state leverage, all that. Which is funny because when Theo starts circling anything too close to Israel, Gaza, war tech, surveillance, or the same billionaire creeps orbiting all of it, Joe acts like the room needs a sedative. But now Duncan says it in that soft little mushroom guru cadence. And Joe's happy to sit there like he's moderating the final debate between empire and autism. This is why the whole thing reeks of damage control. Joe doesn't actually hate the topic. He hates being cornered by the topic. He hates when the guest makes it messy enough that he can't just nod, drift, blur it, and move on.
Like I realized, like, God, it's so easy. I don't think anybody should feel bad. I don't think anybody should feel bad because a lot of us really hated war. A lot of us really, really hated that our country's been at war for 93% of its history. A lot of us really hated the fact that politicians leave their offices and go work for Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, wherever, that there's a weird connection between the main weapons, what they call them, the big five or whatever, and the federal government, that there's like backroom deals going on all the time. We hated that, and mostly we just hated the fact that we're paying taxes to blow up children. And then Trump and fucking Vance come around, and they're somehow, even though like, probably like when you look at Trump, I don't know if I can believe that dude. But somehow he did it. Hypnotized. What a powerful magician. No more wars. No more wars. And now the same bullshit, Joe.
Not just the same bullshit, but like one of the ones that's makes the least amount of sense in terms of like when they did it and why they did it.
Yes.
You blow up the leader during Ramadan. Like, are you trying to make like, why did you have to do it now? Are you really convinced that at this time they were really 2 weeks away from making a nuclear weapon? Like, are we fucking sure?
2 weeks.
But it's not like we haven't heard that before, right? So at a certain point in time, like, how much pressure does Israel have to put on the president? Like, that's a crazy amount of influence.
Knowing
because
that.
if Israel didn't exist, let's say there was just the Iranian terror regime supposedly sponsoring, not supposedly, sponsoring.
I don't think it's supposedly. I think that's
it's 100%.
Safe to.
Right, but I'm just trying to be
precise.
So you have this state-sponsored terrorism regime, a dictatorial. They're dictators. They
run over their people in the streets.
They gun down protesters.
Yeah.
They killed 2 Olympic gold medalists in wrestling, at least one, and one other really promising young wrestler. They kill people that are of high profile so that it sends a message.
Yeah.
You can't protest. And
cut off the internet.
Yeah. Would we go in? I don't think so. Right? If we heard by allies or someone told us that they were trying to develop a nuclear weapon, don't you think we'd probably try to stop them from doing that with some sort of negotiations and
like what Obama
ensure
did.
their safety or something?
I mean, we shouldn't. Would we blow? How much money was it every day in the war, Jamie? How much was we spending $2 billion every day on that fucking war?
Well, it's not just that. It's like the war is like everything else. Like, imagine if it was run by a private company.
Now look at Joe rediscovering his anti-war brain. Suddenly he remembers contractors. Suddenly he remembers fake narratives. Suddenly he remembers governments lying, rescue stories being staged, war being sold like a movie trailer for stupid people. Great, amazing, wonderful. Where exactly was this energy when Theo was in front of him talking about war, Gaza, Palantir, surveillance, and the same machine that keeps chewing up children and printing money for rich ghouls? That's why this episode feels fake. Joe only rediscovers his conscience when the guest is soft enough not to use it against him. Theo brings up ugly truths, and Joe goes into panic mode. Duncan says the same thing in a calmer voice, and Joe acts like he just stumbled into wisdom.
You have no idea what's going on.
You have no idea.
That's one of the craziest things about the shit happening right now is...
Do you remember the Jessica Lynch story?
No. Who is that?
Did we talk about that? The Jessica Lynch story was a lady who was supposedly, she was kidnapped, and they went to rescue her. I think they sent in the SEALs, but she was actually in a hospital, and she wasn't even being guarded, and they just took her out of there and got her to medical help. But they made it look like they had this like crazy rescue operation, shootout, Tom Clancy novel type shit. But that's not really what happened, and she came out afterwards and was very critical of the story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was like, why did you lie?
See if you can find information about that.
I was just in the hospital. You guys came and got me out of the hospital.
See, this is the thing. It's like there's things that you'll say so the enemy thinks of you a certain way, right? Like, I'm going to get rid of your entire fucking civilization.
Right.
Or, you tell them we never leave anybody behind. We're going to come get them. And we can find your heart rate from 40 miles away.
When Trump posted that, of course, like your mind's scrambling. Like, how do I make this not what it is?
You can't.
You can't, because what it is like even if he is using some kind of like crazy hardcore shit that would like help you buy a skyscraper, you're still. You know what I mean? You're still, even if it's just a ruse, what you're doing at that point is you're just signaling to the world
exactly
that you're out of your fucking mind. That like the concept of original thought, right? Like a truly original thought. How many times have you had like multiple conversations with different people and they all say the exact same sentence that they saw on TikTok or Instagram? They're regurgitating something that the algorithm's been feeding them. Maybe they added their own twist to it, but it's basically the exact same thought. So the algorithm, which is AI, has gotten into their fucking heads, and they don't even, this is like in psychology, apparently. You remember facts, but you tend to not remember where you got the fact from. So you'll forget where you got the fact from. You don't remember there was some fucking dude on TikTok like covered in Vaseline, covered in glitter and Vaseline.
What a fucking image. That would be so scratchy. Imagine if you just like glitter and Vaseline. You'd be like, oh, God.
Here's what makes a marriage work. you don't remember that.
Hearing Joe Rogan talk about original thought is one of the funniest things in this whole episode. Brother, your brain is basically a YouTube short sewer with antlers on it. This is the same guy who gets half his worldview from X-Clips, Boomer Sludge, and whatever Jamie can pull up before the next ad read. So now Joe wants to worry about people regurgitating algorithm-fed thoughts? My guy, you are the algorithm, with HGH. And Duncan's point here is accidentally perfect, because that is exactly what happened to Joe. He spent years marinating in the same online echo chamber of culture war bait, war apology garbage, elite-friendly narratives, and billionaire worship, until the old question everything guy got replaced by this newer, shinier, safer model, who only questions power when power isn't in the room.
Have you had an original thought in the last year?
Right.
Is anything you're thinking your own thought process? How many thoughts do you have where you think, oh my God, I shouldn't think that? How many thoughts do you have that you don't want to articulate because you have in your own mind, an invisible arena of people based on online interactions determining what the next thing you say is, right?
Right.
Dude, that is a very powerful and subtle form of censorship that is becoming increasingly not just probable, but it's definitely happening. But the ability to just in a subtle way start pushing the needle just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's scary, dude.
And now the episode turns into a full self-own. They start explaining how cults work: community first, humiliation later, sunk cost after that, then the part where father wants you to suck his dick. And somehow neither of these geniuses seems to realize they're basically describing the same movement they both helped normalize. That is what makes this section so good. It's like watching two guys explain a trap while sitting inside it. And again, look at Joe's energy here versus Theo. Theo even sniffs in this direction, and Joe starts doing the whole, you sound sad, you sound crazy, come to the mothership, get some sunlight routine. Duncan says cult mechanics, and Joe's like, wow man, that's deep. So Theo gets therapy. Duncan gets philosophy. Same subject, same rot, different packaging. Give me a break.
You know, why do they work? Well, some people don't have any friends. And if there's a group of nice people that tells you that, hey, what we do is we have meals together and it's like a real community. We grow our own food. We just work for the family. And you're like, really? You're happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. We're just like not attached to anything.
Wow,
like,
you're free.
Huh. Okay, I fucking hate my life. Why don't I hang out with you guys? And then all of a sudden I'm doing yoga and fucking eating vegetables with these people.
Yeah.
And you're in a cult.
Yeah.
Okay, now, but you have friends at least.
But you're in there for like 9 months, and then somebody comes to you and is like, father wants you to suck his dick. And you're
It's
like,
usually not even 9 months.
Yeah,
It's
9
usually
months.
the first 3 or 4
Right.
weeks.
And then you're like, and dude, I gotta tell you, I hate getting political. It's the sunken cost fallacy. The more you invest in something, the more you stick with it because you don't want to lose your investment.
Right, and if they get you young when you don't know what the fuck is going on.
That's right.
Anybody could have got me when I was like 20.
That's right. And it's crazy just to see the propaganda. Like, you know, there's just a lot of people out there who just got sucked into something that, you know, I just feel stupid. It's so weird to me that this is our jobs.
Oh, bro, do you remember when we first started?
Yeah.
It was for nothing. No one made any money. We just had a couch. I had a couch and some microphones.
It was so pure.
It was, the whole thing is still kind of pure, if you really think about it. Like, as something that's mass consumed, this is about as, like, pure as you can get.
That for sure. And you've gotten in trouble for that. But, you know, like a lot of people, unfortunately, and I don't blame anybody these days. A lot of people have kids. People feel like they have to be very careful what you say these days because of, like, social rejection and stuff like that. But there was a time where that wasn't on your mind at all. You didn't think anybody was going to listen. Like, this shit was like completely strange underground tech that we were, and also I really loved the just doing it just for doing its sake.
This might be the most shameless line in the entire episode. This is still kind of pure. Brother, this is a billionaire adjacent cleanup episode after a backlash storm. And you're sitting there calling it pure like it's still two guys on a busted couch in 2011. No, it isn't. It's not pure. It's polished panic. It's reputation repair with vitamins. And the reason that line lands so badly is because everybody watching can feel the difference. The old version of this thing had chaos. This version has perimeter control. It has soft landings. It has safe guests. It has rich freak omerta. It has that creepy little, we can gesture at the Empire, but don't say the wrong names too clearly. Energy hanging over everything.
This war shit bugs the fuck out of me.
Yeah, as it should.
And this is exactly what seems to have happened to the, quote, MAGAverse, which is we are now at the part where the cult leaders, like, want to suck my dick, because this is the point of, like, remember, a lot, like, I feel so stupid, because when they were doing their no war thing, that was a big deal to me. I'm like, yes, yes, this is fucking great. No more stupid wars. No more wars. Fuck yes. Focus on the country. Why are we blowing up children in other countries for oil? This is great. And now it's wild to see what's happening. Isn't it mind-blowing that it is now, it's literally flipped. It's on its side. It's the opposite now. Now, these people who like really blatantly, we're not going to do any more wars.
Right.
Oh my God. We blew up, how many fucking Iranian schoolgirls did Trump blow up? What's the number? I'm sorry, I don't know that number. I guess it just hits different, it hits hard when you got kids.
And that was an AI strike too, right? Wasn't that an AI directed strike?
Yeah, apparently Trump said, I want to get blown by Iranian schoolgirls. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You son of a bitch. Just, whoops, sorry, sir. Misinterpreted.
180 deaths.
Largely children, teachers, and parents. Holy fuck, man.